Hi, Scott Orlin with Cinema Magazine. Boy, there is a new TV series coming your way. Buckle your seatbelts. It is called Your Honor, and I'm here with the star, Bryan Cranston. Bryan, when we first kind of get introduced to the show, I say, boy, what a nice kind of family neighborhood kind of lawyer, judge this guy's going to be. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, Scott, as you know me, I have a tendency to veer off into characters that are troubled and conflicted and flawed in many ways, because I think most people can relate to that. And certainly my character in Your Honor is that man. He starts off and presenting himself very righteous and very dignified and noble. A set of circumstances comes to mind where he feels the life of his child is in mortal danger and he needs to make a decision immediately and impulsively. And he does so to protect his child, which any parent would do, in my mind. So that all seemed very natural. But now he's on a course of reverse engineering his entire life to become somewhat of a criminal mastermind in some ways.
You mentioned about a parent protecting a child. Has gone going have been going through this experience. Has it given you any insight as to what levels you would go to, or is it just endless?
Yeah, no, it has. So, for instance, when I tell the premise of Your Honor to people and I say, if you thought that your child could be in danger of being killed by someone, would you become a criminal to save his or her life? In 100%, parents are going, absolutely. I said, so you would create false alibis and lie to the police and destroy evidence. And yes, yes, and yes, I would do all of that. I said, would you be around to allow an innocent person to be harmed? And that's when the pause happens. Like, oh no. Would you allow someone to be killed or have someone killed to protect your story, that protects your child? And then it gets so murky because, of course, the moral line is being redrawn. And, my thought was, well, God, if I was in that position, I would just run. I would take my child and and whoever else I loved and leave the country, just start a new life somewhere because you couldn't possibly accept the idea of harming someone else to protect your own personal interests. So hopefully we'll never have to face that in our real lives. But in my artistic life, for Your Honor, I had to make that decision and come to some kind of understanding of what I would really do.
You mentioned the word run, which is interesting because takes place in New Orleans, and a lot of the vantage point that we see throughout the series is your character running. And I'm wondering, how athletic were you prior to this? How much going through that experience did it give you a different vantage point of the city?
I used to run marathons when I was younger. So in my 20s and 30s, I was a marathon runner. So I was looking forward to getting back into doing a character that relied a lot on running. Unfortunately, my body said, I don't think so. Um, and I had a slip disc in my back, which led to 2 sessions of epidural shots in my spine in order to not be in pain. And forget about running. It was just so not be in pain. And then slowly I was able to start back up, but then I blew a hamstring muscle in one of the scenes I was running, and I will tell you, it got a little depressing for me because I was asking my body to go back to what I was like in my 20s and early 30s, and it said, no, I don't think I will. I don't think I'll go back there. You can't go back home. You are in your 60s, old man, and I will tell you what you can and cannot do. And it did. I took a lot of Epsom salt baths. I took a lot of baths just to try to keep loose and stretch so that I could do some of the running in the show.
Well, it's very effective, and I'll just say if I ever am in a predicament, I'm calling Bryan Cranston.
I will help you, Scott.
Thank you so much. The show is called Your
Thanks.
Honor. This is Scott Orlin. Until next time.
Thank,
Thank you.
thanks, Scott.